Ahoy! And welcome to the Boating Hour with Captain Rick. The Boating Hour brings you the latest and greatest essential information about everything that sails, floats, or motors upon the high seas of Southern California. From landlubbers to old salts, there'll be something for everyone. So climb aboard and get ready to sail with Captain Rick.
Ahoy out there and welcome to the Boating Hour. I'm Captain Rick, and I want to thank you for joining us here on AM 870. We're here every Saturday at 4 p.m., and please be sure to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com. Now on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, The Boating Hour with Captain Rick. Thanks to our sponsors for our show today. For a healthy gut, the best probiotic on the market, Livia One Probiotics, natural, organic, and allergen-free. And their link right up on our face page. On our pages, you can just click right in, get into Livia One Probiotics, find out all about them. Natural, organic, and allergen-free. And Raycom Radios, reliable two-way commercial radios throughout Southern California. Reliable two-way radio communications without drop and dead zones. Today, I got a special guest with us here. We've had some fantastic guests. Oh, my goodness. We've had from the Coast Guard we had Faye Johnson. She was a real hit. A lot of people have asked questions, and, I'll have her back on the show. But today, Derek Wade, a sailor and author, circumnavigated around the globe. Derek, welcome to the Boating Hour with Captain Rick.
Thank you very much.
It's exciting for you to be here because you're the holy grail of sailors. For those of us that race and sail, or the people that want to do that, you actually did it. I mean, you restored your boat, you sailed around. Tell me how you got started in sailing, and then let's talk about the boat that you restored to travel.
Well, actually, I started out joining a crew on a very large sailboat. It was a friend of mine who owned this boat, and I was very lucky. So what we did was refitted it before we set off. It was more of a refit. A new engine and running gear and generators and all that sort of thing. And I left Long Beach, and 2 years later ended up in San Francisco. We went all the way around through the Suez and the Panama Canal as well.
That's the beginning of your sailing experience?
That's it. I didn't sail before that. I think the first night I ever spent on a boat was 15 in a row on the way to the Marquesas in the South Pacific.
Well, excellent. As Captain Ron said, remember the Kurt Russell and Captain Ron?
Of course.
If it's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong out there. So just get out there.
That's right.
That's one way to do it. I started as a kid, with the Scouts and with my friends. It was a way to get out of the house, and I don't see that environment as much anymore. I'd like to see more. That's what I'm trying to do on the show is promote the activities at all the yacht clubs and and all the marinas. There's a lot of activities going on there. So I'd like to really be someone that instigates people getting their kids out there. So that's kind of my experience. And, I'm not a top sailor, but I know a lot. But this is really exciting because I think that's a little bit too advanced even for me. So how was that? Did you hire like an expert navigator? And tell us the planning for your boat. Now your boat, you restored it?
No, actually it was just a refit. It was
got it.
It was just a refit before we left. It was an older Swan 65 sailboat, a ketch. I was a crew member. Yes.
Oh my goodness, the Rolls Royce.
Boat.
The Rolls Royce of sailboats. Did you have a wood deck and all kinds of wood trim?
We did. We had a lot of bright work.
Did you learn to varnish?
Yes, I varnished that boat several times in our circumnavigation. We kept the boat up in top shape as we went around. We hauled it out a couple of times during our trip to keep it, leak free and kept bottom paint on it. But yeah, I joined a crew. There was a professional captain on board and a first mate. Halfway around, I would say it was more than halfway, when we arrived in Egypt, the owner of the boat decided to make a change, sent me to England to get my yacht captain's license through the Royal Yachting Association in England.
Oh, my good. Wait, let's stop right there. Let's talk about that. Your captain's license in England?
True. Yeah. There's minimum requirements. And the owner said that he needed a captain on board so that his insurance was reasonable. So it was cheaper to send me to get my captain's license than to go without a captain. So he sent me up to Plymouth, England. And for 2 weeks, I sat in a classroom and then captained a sailboat with an examiner on board in the English Channel and up the rivers for about a week. And then I got my license, flew back to, I think it was, Athens.
No kidding.
And took the boat over as captain from Athens and did the Mediterranean and crossed the Atlantic and through the Caribbean. and up the coast.
Did you have to learn a second language the way the Brits talk?
Oh boy, it was a challenge. It was, well, thank God, weights and measures were still valid with the United States. But yeah, you learned a lot.
God, that really did you go to any soccer games while you were there?
No.
Okay.
Just sailing.
Yeah, no time. Okay, so then you go back. Now you're a captain.
Now I'm a captain, and the stress was on to get but I'd been doing it. I'd sailed all the way there from Long Beach, so you get comfortable on the boat, and you understand the systems and how the watches work, and you've had your head underneath the bilge fixing things, so you're pretty ready to go after that.
So that's Swan. I mean, consider the Rolls Royce of sailboats. So what year is it? How old?
It was at 77.
Relatively new. Okay.
The sister boat performed in the Whitbread and won the Whitbread.
What's the Whitbread?
Whitbread was around the world race. It was before the Volvo Open.
It. Okay.
So that was originally called the Whitbread. So the sister ship won that race around the world. So this is a very stout boat, very stout, and we did encounter a lot of situations where the stout personality of that boat was required. We bounded through waves and through storms. It was a great.
Did you have any problems out at sea? Did you ever have to call in for, go inshore for maintenance or call for rescue?
Luckily, we didn't. We were safe. We had all the necessary safety setups on board. We had lifelines on the deck, and it was great.
God, that sounds so exciting. So what about provisions and food? How does that work? Because when you're going around the world, boy, I tell you, I'm sure you fished a little bit. Tell about provisions and how you guys, what you do in the. I know what you're doing when you have rough weather. You're sailing, but when you have nice calm weather, how'd you keep occupied? But I want to hear about the provisions and the food and stuff.
So setting out from California is pretty easy. You just load up at Costco or one of your big box stores at the time. Fill the bilge with everything you can. The hardest part is the vegetables. After 15 days, your vegetables are. After 5 days, your vegetables are pretty much shot. So, you can, as long as you keep it dry. The onions and potatoes, they last a while. Eggs don't need to be refrigerated.
Right.
You can keep them on the countertop. And water. We had a water maker on board, so we made our own water. So we didn't have to carry a lot of water bottles at the time. We had water tanks. You plan for it. You have a lot of dry goods. You plan for it, and you can get through it. Provisioning overseas, it's like we were in a country called Djibouti.
Never heard of it. Where's
that?
That?
It's right between Somalia and Ethiopia, and it's at the mouth of the Red Sea, and it's a stopping point before you go up the Red Sea. So there, it was a little more interesting. There were a lot of French grocery stores, so you were able to hit those sorts of things. You pay a lot more for food.
Of course. So Somalia, did you encounter any pirates?
We did encounter some radio calls that were kind of suspicious, but we traveled at night, kept our lights off, and cruised through that area and got to Djibouti safely from the Indian Ocean. So.
That's fantastic. I know the pirate alphabet. Actually, there's an interesting myth I was reading about pirates a little while ago. Pirates, the myth is that they wore patches because they lost their eyes in fights, in sword fights. But that's not why they wore patches. They wore a patch because they're out there in daylight on the deck, and it's bright sunlight. And if for any reason they had to go down below, it's dark, and it takes a while for your eyes to focus. So when they would go down below, they'd switch the patch. So now you have one eye that's in darkness, one eye that's in light. So I think that would give me a headache. But I read that was the reason why they had patches, and because it was very common. I just thought pirates got in so many fights.
Right.
Everybody lost an eye. I read that recently. Catalina has a pirate festival every year. And it's actually wonderful, and people have known about it forever. And they dress up as pirates, and a couple pirate companies, and they have fights. And of course, one of the greatest movies, some of the pirate movies. God, that is fantastic. How was the crew? Let's talk about the crew.
So the crew was made up of a couple of friends, the owner of the boat and his family, and the hired captain and first mate, who they were based at Orange Coast College, and they were fantastic. They did a great job. Getting us all the way. Well, they would have gotten us all the way around. However, they did make a change in Egypt, so it was a nice transition, and I was ready to be the captain. The owner, he stayed with us a bit in the Mediterranean, but he did not go on the crossing across the Atlantic. It was myself and 4 other people. And,
was it the same crew, or did you pick up different crew members?
It changed a little bit as we went. It's 2.5 years of travel. So
my goodness,
not everyone can make that commitment. I made the commitment. I jumped on board. I said, I'm doing this. So.
And the family was glad to get you out of the house for 2 years?
Well, yeah. Well, luckily this was before.
Oh, so, got it. Okay.
I was a little freer then.
Okay.
And it was it's not something I would do today currently, but before then it was fine. It was great. It was an exciting adventure. And we went everywhere. We went through the upper rivers in the Borneo and visited the orangutans and the Komodo Islands and Sri Lanka, Indonesia, all over the place. It was fantastic.
God, that's exciting. Yeah. And we're going to talk about your book in a minute.
Oh, great.
Well, if you're just joining us now, you're listening to The Boating Hour. I'm Captain Rick. I'm here every Saturday at 4 p.m., and please be sure to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com, where you can listen to our podcast and link to our many guests. We're so very fortunate to have some amazing guests. I'm real proud of that. And for a healthy gut, the best probiotic on the market, Livia One, natural, organic, and allergen-free. And if you're having an event at land or sea, does your regatta business or event need reliable two-way radio communication with no drop or dead zones? Get a hold of me, Captain Rick, or contact Mobile Relay Associates at Raycom Radios. MRA-Raycom.com. Reliable two-way radio communications. If you're running a business like Costco or police department or taxi cab, contact Raycom Radios, two-way radios. So we are doing something. You're the first to hear. It's the first time I'm announcing it. We've had some glorious book authors, a couple that have gotten their books into scripts. We've had a few people that have produced movies off of the books that they've written. I hope that's what you're planning to do as well. And we're going to go around to the yacht clubs and the marinas, and we're going to have our book. We're going to feature our book authors, get the Coast Guard Auxiliary, the civilian volunteers whose goal is boater safety. And we're going to come out there, and I'm going to introduce my book, Introduction to the Marinas and Boater Safety, and we're going to go to the different marinas and have a segment on radio communication so people understand the different types of radios. Our sponsor is going to provide that segment. We're going to go all around. So you'll be my very, very first book. We're going to announce that coming up real quickly. So we're going to be all over in Southern California. So your book, let's talk about your book.
Great. So I got back to Sausalito after the circumnavigation, Sausalito up by San Francisco. And I was lucky to stay on as captain for a couple more years. And I lived aboard the sailboat in Sausalito. And I had a little extra time. And I met a lot of interesting people in Sausalito, in San Francisco. And I thought I would write a book. And I wrote this mystery based on all the encounters that I had with the locals, with the wonderful environment up there and living on a boat, which is a different experience in itself. So that's what happened. It's called Murder in Marin County, and it's available.
Murder in Marin County.
That's right.
Is it published? Can we get it on
It's
Amazon?
on Amazon. It's by Rogue Phoenix Press. Published
Got it. Okay. God, that's fantastic. So Murder in Marin County. So it's a mystery. My book is going to be just an introduction to all the different things that you can find in marinas at yacht clubs. And I'm going to list book authors, and we're going to talk a little bit about all the safety precautions you need to know. It's kind of an introduction to introduction. That's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to feature, I've had some amazing ones, and so you'll be the first.
I'm excited.
So that's exciting. We'll get out there. People can meet you, and we'll feature the book. How's the book go? When did it publish?
Well.
Is it new?
It's been out for a little while.
Okay.
I'm just getting ready for my next book in the series. So I'm working on that, and it should be out in 26. So there's a lot to do.
Give us a hint. Agatha Christie type of
novels?
Well,
it's the same guy. It's Jack Brubaker, who lives on a sailboat in Sausalito, and he runs a little detective agency in Sausalito. And he gets caught up in a lot of intrigue, let's just say.
Okay, that's exciting. So I want an autographed copy.
All right.
and you'll be with me at my booth. We just had Town Hall, so I'll have a booth next year. I'm planning it now. We'll have a booth at Town Hall. That was exciting. Salem Media has a lot of syndicated stations, some fantastic hosts. Of course, the morning drives and some absolutely great. We had a great time at Town Hall, so it was pretty darn exciting. So I'll be there next year. I'm planning on it right now, and I'm going to feature some of the book authors, and I'd like to be part of that scene where I get people that have done some amazing things, and they put it down. So Murder on Marin County, I want an autographed copy. So are you planning on getting the family out? Does your family sail with you? What's your situation right now?
Interesting. I've been bouncing back and forth between the Midwest, so I don't have a lot of sailing routes anymore on the West Coast other than in my novels. So
got it.
It's we have, I switched businesses and have a whole different cattle vibe. Really, it was the cattle business for a while, and
you were in the cattle business.
I was, and
you were
it was
an actual
exciting.
Cowboy? Were you?
I was at a desk.
Okay.
The cowboy with a button-down shirt at a desk. That was my job. But it was an interesting business. And,
well, there's some lakes and rivers and oceans on them.
There are, and my kids love the water, and we spend a lot of time here in California.
How old are your kids?
So I have a 13-year-old, a 16-year-old, and soon to be a 19-year-old.
Oh, okay. So are they into the water sports, paddleboarding, kayaking?
Oh, they love it.
River rafting?
They absolutely love it. We did that this year. We did a lot of river rafting, and of course the water sports in Marina is down in Newport Beach, paddleboarding and surfing and all that.
Newport Beach is exciting. The holiday parades now. You're not allowed to say Christmas.
Right.
Did I just break a FCC violation? Are we being fined? I said Christmas. So the holiday parades, Newport Beach, goes on for the whole weekend. It's like 3 days. They're absolutely fantastic. I've been to a lot of them every year. I go to one. I've been to Marina Del Rey a lot as a young kid. I was between Marina Del Rey and Redondo Beach, King Harbor. But Newport Beach is so fantastic. It goes on for 3 days. Newport Beach is, I think, the holy grail of all marinas in the world. It's, I used to like sailing or even kayaking in Newport Beach and pretending like I was going to go home to one of those waterfront properties.
Yeah, the kayaking's great there.
Talking about waterfront properties, next week my show is going to be with Gil. Gil's got Radio LA about real estate LA. What's the show, Josh?
Yeah, Real Estate Radio in LA with Gil Ascarati.
Okay, so he's going to be my guest next week, and we're going to talk about the best waterfront deal in all of California, because waterfront property is just enormously expensive. Very difficult to live in a community, whether it's Dana Point or up in Northern California. Ventura Oxnard has some great marinas, some fantastic clubs, a lot of activities that go on, and it's still affordable. If you're close enough to where you work, or if you're able to live up there, they have some great deals. It's still for the average person. You don't have to be a movie star like you do in some of the, Newport Beach. And we're going to talk all about the marinas. We're going to talk about Ventura and Oxnard. Maybe I'll throw in a little bit about Westlake. And we're going to talk a little bit about Paradise Boats. They have the Duffy electric boats that you'll see in Westlake Village, Oxnard, and Ventura. But all next week with Gil, with Real Estate Radio LA, about moving up there. I'd like to do it. I think I might be a Ventura Oxnard person pretty soon. So we're going to talk all about that. That's next week. So right now, when you come so you come to the West Coast for business?
I do. I work out here.
Oh, okay.
Most of the time.
Got it. Okay, when you're here, are you in any yacht club or any marina?
No, I wish I was, but I bounce back and forth so much that my weekends aren't really mine. So I have to.
Got it.
I've got to get back in the water. Truly, I've got to be back in there. So,
well, that's how I end every show. There's no place like being out on the water in sunny Southern California. There is a difference in boaters. Our opening days are symbolic.
Right.
Okay. We, the big joke is we see that the our ports are free of ice, but in the parts of the world they got to pack up their boats. And there really is. Their opening days is when the ice melts. And here we have year-round sailing, and it's pretty amazing. I remember I've got friends from Homer, Alaska to Wisconsin, and a lot of times I'll tell my friends that it's blistering cold, that we're below 60 degrees, and then my friends were at 0. They say, yeah, my boat's packed up for a while now. So that's kind of amazing. Living on the Pacific Ocean where you can sail or fish or go out kayaking or paddleboarding. I've had some paddleboard enthusiasts write the show, and I featured a couple paddleboard companies. So there's a lot of activities that go on in the marina. That's kind of the goal of the show. So what's next for you? Tell us where you're going to be and about the Murder on Marin County is your book that's out now. What's the name of your?
So I'm going to just keep writing. I'm still finishing up my next book. It's the Jack Brubaker stories, which it's going to be a series of novels. And they're set on the west coast of California. Whether it's in San Francisco, Santa Barbara, or LA, I have those connections to and a history among all those places. So I enjoy adding them to the story. I've
got some great photos. I'm going to put them up on the site. And this is she's beautiful. Look at this. You got to go to the boatinghour.com and look at the photos I'm going to post. What was the name of the boat?
Coeur de Leon, Heart of the Lion.
Oh, got it. Heart of the Lion, Coeur de Leon. Excellent. These are some great photos. It look like your crew and your friends were having a good time. God, this has been fantastic. I really enjoy talking to people that have gone around the world or done things that I have only dreamt of. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that have only dreamed of going out on the sea. I think it's every person's at one point in their life, even if they get seasick. I've had people that said, I've always wanted to go around the world, but I get seasick. Did anybody get seasick?
Yeah, I got seasick. First 2 days, and then after that, you're used to it. You're ready to go. And
really?
You can take it. It's great. It's those 2 days that you want to die, but after that, you're fine. You're not going to die. You're going to be fine.
It's just a little bit uncomfortable. God, but I tell you, this has been fantastic having you on the show. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming to the studio. Not everybody makes it in. Yeah. Derek Wade. So Murder on Marin County is current book. And the Swan, that's a fantastic boat. I tell you, everybody's got to at least look at a Swan at one time.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful boat. And who's doing the varnish, the bright work right now?
I don't know. Thank God. Not me. Thank God.
Yeah, that's they keep it really nice. God, this has been fantastic. Well, next week we got an exciting show. We're going to have some amazing guests. And if you want to get on, if you've got some stories, email Captain Rick at theboatinghour.com. I'm having a lot of fun with the shows, and I hope I'm doing a good job promoting the activities at all the yacht clubs and all the youth activities that go on at every marina. And a lot of the counties are doing some summer programs as well. So if you've got a press release you'd like to mention, email me, Captain Rick at theboatinghour.com. Well, that's all the time that we have for you today. I hope you enjoyed our show today. As always, we're very fortunate to have such wonderful and exciting guests, and I want to thank our in-studio guest today. So, Derek Way, this is fantastic. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
And let's not forget the Coasties, protecting our waters, America's lifesavers and guardians of the sea. A few emails about the Coast Guard and the Coast Guard Auxiliary. I've had people ask me they want to hear some stories of rescues. A lot of rescues. The Coast Guard, I don't know if you know this, the Coast Guard, the active duty Coasties have the best food in all the branches. They're considered a 5-star restaurant, and it's kind of shocking. One reason to join the Coast Guard is because of the food, and they give you a signing bonus if you go into culinary. So it's not slop, it's not spam. They do an amazing job. So at all the bases is one of the hidden secrets of the Coast Guard. So that's fantastic. So a lot more stuff coming up about the Coast Guard. We will talk about some of the great rescues they've done all over the world and the icebreakers and the importance and why we have icebreakers. That's coming up as well. So remember, if you do it right and follow the guidelines and safety precautions, there's no place like being out on the water in the fresh air and sunshine in beautiful, sunny Southern California. Whether you're boating, sailing, fishing, kayaking, paddleboarding, did I leave anything out? Or the airfoiling. For the kids, they have these new boats, and they're little boats, and they foil. I call it flying. They're in the sky, and they tack, and they jibe, and they race. So that's really popular. And, of course, the Olympics. A lot of activity in the Olympics. In 28, we're going to have the Olympics come here. There'll be a lot of sailing activity out of San Pedro, Long Beach, and that whole area. I'll be featuring a lot of the clubs that are getting ready right now. Here at the Boating Hour with Captain Rick, we cover everything that sails, motors, and floats from San Diego to Santa Barbara. Thanks for being with us today. Please be sure to join us next week and every Saturday at 4 p.m. on AM 870. Thanks to our sponsors for the show today, for a Healthy Gut Livia 1 Probiotics and Raycom Radios. Reliable two-way radios throughout Southern California without drop zones, dead batteries, and all the inherent limitations of all other communication systems. Don't forget to visit us on the web at theboatinghour.com. Now on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble, The Boating Hour with Captain Rick. Keep your emails coming. This is Captain Rick saying ahoy, Fair Windsdall.